talking about earlier.
Brittney Griner never fails to bring drama to the court, but this time, it's not just a skirmish. It's an all-out eruption that's shaking the WNBA to its core. What started as just another heated game day exchange has now exploded into a moment that no one could have predicted. The tension between Griner and rising phenom Caitlin Clark has been simmering for weeks. But now, that simmer just turned into a full-blown boil. Yes, we've seen the on-court fouls, the stares, the shoulder checks. But what's surfaced now has set the entire sports world ablaze. Right after a foul, cameras caught Brittney Griner mouthing something under her breath. Fans quickly zeroed in, lip readers weighed in, and the internet did what it does best: rewind, slow-mo, and analyze. Every frame. Some say she said, "trash white girl." Others heard something different. But one thing is crystal clear. The look on her face said it all. And just like that, the headlines erupted. Twitter, or X, is on fire. Commentators are scrambling. The league's PR machine is working overtime. But the damage may already be done. Because this isn't just a rivalry anymore. It's a moment that's forcing a reckoning. About respect, about race, about the future of women's basketball.
Brittney Griner and Caitlin Clark, we can see here that Riley Gaines posted, Brittney Griner appeared to call Caitlin Clark trash and effing white girl after fouling out last night.
And everything just, I'm bigger, I'm 6'8", a little bit stronger. I think everybody see I'm a little bit stronger. Grown man.
Brittney Griner never shies away from the spotlight, but this time, the spotlight might just burn her. What began as another on-court dust-up has now erupted into something far bigger. A viral clip, a heated rivalry, and a league caught in. The crossfire, the clash between Griner and Caitlin Clark isn't just basketball beef, it's quickly becoming a full-blown cultural moment. And here's the truth that no one wants to say out loud. Griner isn't just feuding with Clark, she's fighting the very future of the WNBA. The moment. Everything changed. After a hard foul, Griner was caught on camera mouthing words that many fans interpreted as trash-fanwing white girl. Lip readers are still parsing it frame by frame, but Griner's expression, her body language, and the timing of the comment set the internet on fire. Social feeds exploded. Commentators fumbled to explain it away. But fans? They didn't buy the spin. They saw what they saw, and they were done being gaslit. That one moment crystallized a divide between the old guard of the WNBA, battle-tested but media-shielded, and the new wave, led by Caitlin Clark, bringing unprecedented attention and accountability. The real battle, accountability versus entitlement. While Clark draws fans, headlines, and sponsors to the sport, players like Griner are publicly complaining about packed arenas and crowd noise. Let that sink in. After years of begging for attention, the WNBA is finally on the map. And one of its biggest stars sees that as a problem. Patrick Bet-David said it best. The WNBA started underwater, and instead of fixing the boat, some of these players are poking more holes in it. It's not just baffling, it's insulting. Especially when fans, sponsors, and networks are finally showing up. Griner's complaints, whether about fans, Clark, or the shifting culture, reflect a dangerous attitude that could drag the league back into irrelevance. And it's not just her. There's a growing sense that some in the WNBA resent the very attention Clark is bringing, simply because she's not them. The race narrative, and the real issue, yes, race is being dragged into this. But not by fans, by commentators, former athletes, and Twitter voices looking to reduce everything Clark does to her skin color. And while it's fair to discuss how race affects public perception, it's not fair to weaponize it against Clark, especially when she's done nothing but elevate the game. What's happening isn't racism, it's resentment. Clark is a young, white woman dominating headlines in a league that's been majority black for decades. And instead of celebrating her impact, one that could raise everyone's salaries and visibility, some players are pushing back out of spite, not principle. The hard numbers, don't lie Clark goes down with an injury. And ticket prices crash overnight from $86 to $25 in Chicago, from $41 to $14 in DC. This isn't narrative. This isn't hype. This is market truth. Clark is the engine of the WNBA right now, period. And if the league doesn't recognize that, if it continues to protect underperforming players with loud social followings while criticizing the one player actually moving the needle, it will lose the moment it's waited 25 years for. What comes next? This isn't just about Brittney Griner. It's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Does it want to reward excellence or identity? Does it want growth or grievance? Caitlin Clark isn't perfect. No athlete is. But she's here. She's drawing millions. She's elevating the sport. And she deserves the same respect any player would earn for doing the same. As for Brittney Griner, she has a choice: adapt, evolve, and meet the moment. Or become the symbol of everything the WNBA used to be.
While this is taking place, Brittney Griner comes out and says, I am so sick and tired of the WNBA. It used to be a peaceful, small little thing. Now there's crowds screaming, hollering. This is disruptive. It's not allowing us to play the game. This is her quote. I don't know if you saw this or not when she gave that.
And hard, leading with the elbow into rebounds. And it was a rebound. She came running in. I got big, like all bigs are supposed to be taught.
Patrick Bet-David just delivered what might be the most savage reality check ever heard on a podcast. And the WNBA will be feeling the aftershocks for weeks. After Brittney Griner's remarks about Caitlin Clark, comments laced with racial undertones and dripping with entitlement set the internet ablaze. PBD didn't hesitate. While commentators danced around the controversy and media outlets tried to soften the blow, Patrick charged in with cold, unfiltered truth. What the hell is going on with the WNBA? Why can't they handle the attention or the backlash they've been begging for? That was just the beginning. Patrick brought receipts. He dragged up Griner's past, not out of spite, but to highlight the sheer disconnect between gratitude and reality. Here's a player who was imprisoned in a Russian jail cell and freed only after the US government exchanged her for Victor Bout, one of the most notorious arms dealers in the world. The Merchant of Death, traded for an American basketball player. That's the level of sacrifice the country made for her. And now, she's complaining about fan noise. Griner's groan about crowds being too loud at WNBA games wasn't just tone deaf. It was delusional. It exposed a mindset so far removed from humility, it almost felt like satire. And Patrick didn't hold back. You'd think that someone who just got out of prison would be grateful to play in front of fans. You'd think they'd appreciate the noise, the cheers, the energy. But instead, she's whining about it. That's what made the takedown so satisfying. Not just the savagery, but the truth behind it. PBD's commentary hit a nerve because it said what everyone was thinking, but too afraid to voice. The WNBA, and Griner in particular, should be thanking Caitlin Clark and her fanbase for reviving a league that was flatlining. They should be leaning into the spotlight, not running from it.
I'd have fun with you. Brittney Griner, what she says, right there, watch this. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there.
Let's cut through the noise and get to what really went down on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. Because Brittney Griner didn't just catch heat, she got hit with the harshest reality check of her career. While Griner was busy complaining about crowd noise and slipping in those not-so-subtle racial jabs at Caitlin Clark, Patrick was locked on and dropping truth bombs she clearly didn't see coming. It all started with a quote so absurd, it almost doesn't sound real. Griner claimed the WNBA used to be a calm, serene little corner of the world. The kind of place where you could bring your laptop to the game and get some work done. Stop. Think about that. A professional athlete, someone paid to entertain, compete, and perform, openly lamenting the presence of fans, as if the crowd cheering, reacting, and holding players accountable is somehow a problem. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was insulting, and here's the kicker. It's coming from a player who should be the most grateful of all. Griner was rescued from a Russian prison, traded for a man called the Merchant of Death. She came back to America with headlines, support, and opportunity. And now that the league finally has attention, thanks to Caitlin Clark igniting national interest, Griner's upset that people are actually watching. Patrick wasn't having it. "This isn't just complaining," he said. "This is delusion." This is a professional athlete who doesn't want to be treated like a professional. That's what makes this moment so revealing. It's not just about Griner's words. It's about what they represent. A mindset infecting the WNBA. One that says the league is owed attention, respect, and money. Without effort, without humility, and without acknowledging who's actually saving the sport. Caitlin Clark brought the fans. She brought the revenue. She brought the spotlight. And instead of meeting that moment with professionalism, Griner is pushing back with whining and race baiting. That's why Patrick Bet-David's takedown wasn't just brutal. It was necessary.
Used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score, like we're there for their entertainment. You are! The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some light racism.
And there you have it. When the cheers of passionate fans, the very lifeblood of any sport, are twisted into accusations of light racism, we've officially lost the plot. This isn't about injustice. This is about accountability. This is about entitlement. And above all, it's about a complete misunderstanding of what it means to be a professional athlete. You're not owed adoration. You earn it. You don't get to complain about pressure. Pressure is part of the privilege. So, to all the real fans out there, the ones who show up, who cheer loud, who support the game for what it's meant to be, thank you. You're the reason this sport has a future.
Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about. Especially something like this.
The prisoner exchange that brought Brittney Griner home wasn't just any diplomatic trade. It was a high-stakes geopolitical gamble. To secure her release, the US government agreed to free Victor Bout, a man convicted of conspiring to kill Americans and supplying weapons to terrorist organizations. Yes, you heard that right. They traded the merchant of death for a basketball player. That's not just a deal. That's a statement of extraordinary value and sacrifice. And how has that sacrifice been repaid? Well, that's the part sparking outrage today.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act in every arena. In every arena. So, and then when you, clearly she's not remembering who they let out to get her back.
The merchant of death.
The merchant of death. An arms dealer that wanted to kill American citizens.
And how does Brittney Griner respond to being back on American soil? Free again, playing the sport she claims to love, in front of fans who are finally showing up in record numbers. She complains about the noise. That's right. Noise. Patrick. Bet-David didn't hold back. And frankly, he didn't need to. His point was brutal, yes, but absolutely justified. You'd think someone who experienced real confinement, a Russian prison, cut off from the world, would return to freedom, with a renewed appreciation for liberty, for opportunity, for the sheer privilege of stepping onto a court and hearing people cheer. But no. To Griner, those cheers aren't a gift. They're a nuisance. That's not just disappointing, it's delusional. It reveals just how far she's drifted from reality. And even worse, how far she's drifted from gratitude and the timing of her complaints. Couldn't be more tone deaf. The WNBA is experiencing the biggest surge in its history. Explosive growth, soaring viewership, and for the first time ever, the league is projected to hit the $1 billion mark. And what Or, more accurately, who is fueling that momentum? Caitlin Clark. Her impact on women's basketball is undeniable. Her presence alone has transformed empty seats into sold-out arenas, pushed ratings through the roof, and brought national sponsors to the table. And yet, here's Griner, whining about the exact thing that's finally putting money in her pocket. Every screaming fan, every headline, every standing ovation, it's all driving up the value of the league. And yes, the salaries of every player, including Brittney Griner. Yet somehow, she's still complaining. But perhaps the most troubling part of her comments aren't the complaints about fans. It's the undercurrent of resentment that feels at times racially charged. Let's be honest, this isn't just about crowd noise or game day dynamics. It's about discomfort with who's leading the spotlight. Some players simply can't accept that a young white woman is drawing the kind of media attention and fan love that black players, despite years of dominance, never received. And that frustration, while understandable, is being projected not as reflection, but as hostility. Patrick Bet-David didn't dodge that uncomfortable truth. He confronted it head on. Yes, race likely plays a role in Clark's mass appeal. That's part of America's complicated cultural reality. But here's what matters more. Caitlin Clark has earned every ounce of that attention. She's not a product of hype. She's not a media invention. She's a phenomenon, 4th in MVP voting, in just her 2nd year. Her playing style, electric, her energy, unmatched. Her fan base, expanding by the day. She's bringing in new viewers, casual fans who've never cared about women's basketball before. And she's doing it through talent, not headlines. The truth is this, Caitlin Clark didn't steal the spotlight. She built it, and if others want that same shine, they'd do well to stop complaining and start competing.
WNBA says they want to get paid more. They're saying this year they're going to make $1 billion. That's what they're saying, okay? For the first time ever. Now that Caitlin Clark is hurt for 2 weeks, did you see ticket prices? Insane. Let me read you the ticket prices. After Caitlin Clark's been hurt for 2 weeks. All right? So let's go through this. Caitlin Clark absence is having an immediate impact beyond the court. According to data shared by Yahoo Sports via TickPick, prices for 2 specific Indiana Fever away games against the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics dropped sharply after Clark was sidelined. Before the injury, the lowest ticket available for Fever's matchup in Chicago was $86. For the game in Washington, fans needed at least $41 to get in. After the news of Clark's absence, those get-in prices fell to $25 from $86 and $14.
The moment Patrick Bet-David brought up those ticket prices on his podcast, the illusion shattered. All the narratives, all the noise, all the everyone's a star rhetoric, gone. Because the data told the raw, unfiltered truth. Caitlin Clark is the engine powering the WNBA's success. And when that engine stops, the whole machine sputters and stalls. The second Clark was sidelined with an injury, ticket prices for Indiana Fever games didn't just dip, they plummeted like a stock in freefall. In Chicago, tickets dropped from $86 to just $25. In Washington, from $41 to $14, that's not a fluctuation. That's a crash. That's what happens when the headliner leaves the stage. The show grinds to a halt. So when Brittney Griner starts whining about crowd noise, it lands with about as much credibility as a soapbox speech in an empty theater. Let's not forget, for 24 of the WNBA's 28 years, games echoed through mostly empty arenas. No fans, no pressure, no expectations. And frankly, some players liked it that way. There was no accountability, no scrutiny, and certainly no paying customers to answer to. Then Clark showed up and torched that dynamic, and not every player was ready for the spotlight. Griner's infamous comment about how WNBA games used to be so chill you could bring your laptop and get some work done wasn't just a throwaway line. It was a confession. A quiet admission of why the league was irrelevant for decades. Because the truth is, many weren't treating it like a professional product. They were coasting. They were playing glorified pickup ball while fans stayed home and the league bled red ink. That's why Patrick Bet-David's response hit so hard, because it cut through the narratives and got back to cold, hard facts. Griner wasn't just playing basketball. She was rescued from a Russian prison. She's now making more money than ever, in a league finally pulling in real attention. And her complaint? Fan excitement. Then came PBD's knockout blow, the comparison to every other. Pro league in the world, WNBA, NFL, MLB, NHL. Hostile crowds? Deafening boos? Hecklers? Pressure? That's not oppression. That's the job. You entertain the people, especially the ones who paid to watch you succeed or fail. But Griner's worldview, and frankly the worldview of too many in the WNBA, seems built on a contradiction. They want the salaries, the fame, the platform, but none of the scrutiny, none of the pressure, none of the accountability. That's not how professional sports work. Not in America, not anywhere. And then PBD said what many were afraid to. The bitterness toward Caitlin Clark is real. It's not subtle. It's not coded. It's resentment. Plain and simple. And yes, it's human to feel frustrated when someone else walks into the spotlight you thought belonged to you. But this isn't new. This happens in every sport, in every era, when greatness arrives. Just ask Michael Jordan. Pistons didn't just dislike him. They created the Jordan rules. A brutal, physical strategy designed to punish him every time he touched the ball. Why? Because his impact was real. Their resentment didn't come from media hype. It came from watching him dominate, from witnessing, in real time, what transcendence looks like. And that's the heart of the matter. Caitlin Clark isn't a PR product. She's not a media creation. She's not being handed anything. She's changing the game. And the numbers prove it. You don't get $86 tickets for laptop scrimmages. You get them when a superstar walks onto the court and transforms everything. And when she's gone, the silence is deafening.